Right, well, welcome back. And today we're joined by Cameron, who's the MTA franchise owner and a travel advisor based in the beautiful Smiths Lake.
Hi
Welcome,
everyone.
Caroline. Thank you for taking time out of the pool and making time for us to have a chat today. You've got a beautiful view in the background there.
I know, right? Isn't it stunning? Don't you just want to jump on a plane and go there right now?
Well, yes, and you know, a while ago that's what we would have been doing, but life is very different now, isn't it, with
Definitely.
COVID-19, and what we're doing in this series of conversations with local business owners is finding out what impact the restrictions of COVID-19 have had on our businesses and our industry. And I was particularly keen to chat with you, Caroline, because of, you know, the travel industry is one of the hardest hit through COVID-19, which is understandable, but nevertheless, it's still one of the hardest hit. So I'm wondering, can you share with us what's your experience been yourself and in your business? What's that been like for you?
Sure. So look, as a franchise owner, we've been dealing with COVID-19 probably since the end of December, when China bookings started to be impacted. And at first it was presented sort of in a way that just flu-like symptoms, and not really something that was, it was something that was just in China and we're a little bit disconnected from it. Yes, some of the China bookings that we as travel advisors had were being impacted and we're having to just look at that country. But then when it started to move to Italy and start to become more widespread, it was a different ballgame. We've dealt with SARS, swine flu, a lot of different medical conditions like that. And we just thought, at first it was a bit downplayed. We thought, yep, it's just going to be another one of those where people just have to take extra precautions and be a little bit more wary of their health. So with my passengers that were due to travel in the next few months, I was just preparing them to be a little bit more cautious with their health, so looking after themselves before they travelled so that their immune system was already quite healthy. And as a little, I love to prepare little packs with their tickets and everything, and I was putting in hand sanitizer just as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing, not really expecting things to happen the way they have. So as the COVID-19 threat started to continue, I got up to where I have passengers within days of travelling, and that's when the whole world just absolutely tipped on its head.
So the impact of COVID-19 in terms of, initially it sounded like it's kind of over there, it's quite contained.
Yes.
But then once the travel bans and the borders were shut down, what impact did that make on your business when that announcement happened?
At first, it pretty much closed my business down. I lost 100% of my bookings. At first we thought, look, how long is this going to go on for? Is it just going to be the bookings that I've got traveling immediately, or is it going to go on for a little bit longer? Again, we were pretty cautiously optimistic that it was only going to go on for a few months and it'd just impact people traveling in the immediate future. So, but as it's gone on, I'm almost down to none of my bookings are traveling, including domestic bookings. I actually made a domestic booking when everything went to hell in a handbasket, on the middle of March, when everything happened, when the world of travel completely tipped on its head. And I made a domestic booking to the top end, and I thought, oh yes, we'll still be able to do some domestic travel. But then 2 weeks later, I was having to undo a domestic booking as well. So it's had quite a widespread impact on my business. And as a travel advisor, you're always looking to the future. You're putting bookings in your diary for future bookings, but at the moment all of that's up in the air as well. You don't really want to tell people to book into the future just yet, because we don't know when you can travel, and we don't know when we can travel domestically, because it's all state-based and border-based as well.
So how are you communicating with your customers now, Caroline? What sort of contact do you have with them?
Look, I'm trying to keep in touch with them on a weekly or a fortnightly basis. It depends on the individual person. My customers are a combination of really experienced travellers who are prepared to ride out, to people that are that were nervous travellers, and I was helping them navigate. They were nervous before COVID-19 happened, but this has just sent it to another level. So I keep in touch and just let them know where the booking is up to, what I've been able to get. Well, again, it's all on an individual basis. I'm not going to say to someone, look, postpone or not get a refund. It really depends on the individual whether they want me to pursue a refund or whether they want me to whether they want me to get a credit for them to travel at a future date. It's the individual's choice, and I'll go with whatever the individual wants, but it's keeping in touch with them, taking a lead from the customer. I've had some amazingly beautiful things done for me. The local cafe across the street from me, the good food store, I've had people prepaid coffees for me because they know that I'm working long hours, and people have just been going over there just putting money on a tab for me, like anonymous people, and it's
amazing,
so uplifting because they know that I've lost my income, but they also know that I still, the irony of this whole thing is I've lost my income, but I still have a job.
What's your experience been as part of an industry and as a franchise owner?
Being part of I suppose as a franchise owner, I've got amazing support from my MTA head office based on the Gold Coast. They're in this together. I've also got a wonderful business development manager, Jackie, who's based in Sydney. She's state-based, and I can pick up the phone and say to her, look, I'm struggling with this, or and she picks up the phone to me and asks me how I'm coping to be able to help other franchise owners as well. From a franchise owner point of view, I couldn't ask for better support. These guys, the MTA head office, they were online with us as announcements were coming out from the government. So they were online messaging us, keeping us calm when the whole world tipped on its head for us. And running these wonderful webinars every couple of days, everything from how to access the job seeker and the job keeper to just keeping our mental health, looking after our mental health because there's so many people who have been impacted. We've got this wonderful hashtag called Together in Travel, and it's really, at the moment, we don't have competitors in the travel industry. There's no lines or anything. We're just all in this, we're all in this difficult time together, and we're all sticking up for each other, looking after each other, checking in with each other.
Is that a difference? Like the travel industry, has always had that sense of an industry, but is that a change in how you think the industry is working together?
I think it's really just melted down that it'll be really interesting to go to an industry function at the end of all of this, because you typically have people at an industry function, they all sort of stick together with their particular brands, and then you've got people like me who are franchise owners, and if there's another franchise owner, we'll go and gravitate towards each other. But I don't think that that's going to be the case. We've all jumped in to look after each other's customers. So in my case, I've helped out people that have booked with online travel agents. I've helped out people that have booked with competitors that might have been stood down, that customers that just want to talk to a human being or someone locally that they know, rather than having to call a call centre. And I haven't done that for any sort of monetary reward. It's just been to help other people within my industry who are doing it tough as well.
Look into the future. What are you planning for with regards to what the travel industry, or within your own business? What's the word on the street about what's that going to look like? Is it all virtual tours?
I'm looking towards, all of the health and safety, it's all going to be tipped on its head. I've sat through a webinar recently with Clear, which is the cruise line, the abbreviation Cruise Line International Association. So you've got ATAS, which look after the travel industry as a whole, and Clear who's headed up by Joel Katz. That's looked at, that's the cruise industry. So I got to sit on a webinar with Clear recently, and they were talking about how they're really working on different screening procedures that they're going to have on the cruise lines. A cruise line, if you've done a cruise, they are already really strict anyway, but it'll be really interesting to see some of those different health checks that are going to happen, as well as what's going to happen with screening when people travel. So in terms of my business, I have been in touch with Hector from Beach Geek, and we are working towards doing some virtual tours. So he's got some amazing gear that he's going to lend me to either lend to my customers to take out on their trips. And for me, when we do, as a travel advisor, they like to send us on study tours. So we go out and get to experience the products. So I suppose some of my tours will be a little bit more virtual for people that can't necessarily get out. There'll be a bit more of a focus on domestic travel. My husband used to be a tour guide on the Great Ocean Road, so I'll be leveraging off both my husband's skills and my experience with doing with the domestic travel that I've done. But I think it's just going to be a little bit more simpler. Well, there'll be less people on aircrafts. It'll be really interesting to see what sort of health measures are going to be put in place. But I can't see there being massive crowds in particular tourist attractions. So international travel, I'm hoping that by the end of this, people are going to really look towards travel advisors and see us for the resource that we can be.
But tapping into the expertise now that someone like in your position would be able to bring to the table. It's not just booking a flight to another country. It's getting a better understanding of some of the dynamics and potential risk management and opportunities and how to best access those.
Definitely. And just, I suppose where I'd like to see my business is, I think people will be looking for more experiences rather than just ticking off like going to Europe and ticking off as many countries as possible. I think people, where my business will be going is looking at having people go to maybe 1 or 2 countries and really focusing on those countries and doing them well. Things like food experiences, things like yoga experiences, people will be going on more themed holidays. Well, that's where I'd like to take my business personally, where we have themes rather than just going, okay, well, let's tick off as many countries and then need a holiday when we get back.
And talking of needing a holiday, I mean, it sounds like you've been working really hard and the lovely, generous support of your local community with the coffees. What are you doing these days to take care of yourself?
Look, I've discovered a little bit of a love for amateur photography. So I've been walking along our beautiful beaches and taking photos, putting them up on my personal page and putting them up on my business page, and people seem to have enjoyed my walks with my animals. My animals are being featured quite heavily on my business page. I've always worked from home as a mobile travel agent, so my animals do feature, but they're really featuring a lot more.
Getting lots of those walks in. Yeah. That's fantastic that this time's given you the opportunity to uncover a new passion, which is fantastic. And what about a tip for local business owners? You've probably had to stare right down the barrel of owning a business, and what does that mean, and what am I going to go with my business? What's a tip that you'd share with other business owners that you've learned from this experience?
Look, I'd say the first thing that you do, and it's just only a little thing, but make your bed.
Okay.
Because you're setting up your day with a clean slate. You make your bed and you get dressed for work like you're actually going to work. Yeah. And you have a section of your house, and that's where you work. Yeah. And you make sure the temptation when you work from home is to, I've always found that when I've worked from home, I work a lot harder because you're because you're not necessarily getting up and moving, but make your bed, get dressed for work. So the temptation is to wear sweatpants, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but you're not really in a work frame of mind when you don't dress for work. So get yourself up,
make bed, get dressed, get into it.
Absolutely. And make sure that you look, it's probably common sense, but make sure that you do have regular breaks, and just enjoy this peace and quiet wherever you can. I suppose it's really made me appreciate the little things in life.
Hey, thanks, Caroline. Thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing, I guess, the experience that you've had from an industry that, number one, our region is very dependent on tourism and travel. And it's been really helpful and really interesting to get your insights into your experience. Really glad to hear that you're getting the support that you need from your from MTA, from your lovely community, from your lovely customers. And thanks for being part of the Chamber and sharing your experience with us today.
Not a problem, pleasure.